Yo, your man, Lord Jamar went back to Vlad. He went back to Vlad, man.
There was a big thing on the internet where Vlad did an interview with D.L. Hughley, and basically he misquoted the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He heard a portion of a speech that he gave where he used an analogy of using a rock of truth, not a physical rock, but a rock of truth to bash one over the head with. Vlad heard the part just about the rock. Took it to heart because it was being talked about, Jewish people, and, had a conversation with DL that looked very misleading to those that saw the whole clip. Once it was brought to his attention that there was more to the clip, and I believe I may have been the one to bring it to his attention, I recommended that, something had to be remedied. So within 24 hours, Vlad edited out once it was brought to his attention that there was more to the clip, and I believe I may have been the one to bring it to his attention. I recommended that, something had to be remedied. So within 24 hours, Vlad edited out his comments in the clip where he accused the minister, and he also changed the title of the clip. But he didn't give a formal apology, which I advised him he should give.
On this is backlashing on me.
Did they give you a call?
People that were doing that?
No.
People
the public.
in general.
Yeah.
The whole consensus was, yo, this nigga's disrespecting the minister.
Yeah, but y'all
you are standing with this dude.
You found out earlier than me because during COVID, I was still doing some Vlad interviews, at the crib. Then I get DMs going, oh, so you gonna keep tap dancing for this motherfucker? I'm like, what the fuck? And I had just I just filmed with Vlad, and I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And so and Vlad goes, yo, man, are we cool? I just want to make sure that everything's cool and everything's all right. I go, what are you talking about? I was like, he's like, no.
Straight up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We called them like men on the fucking three-way. Boom. Yo, Vlad, yo, check it out. Yeah, it's me and Godfrey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boom, bam, boom.
Yeah.
Yo, listen, man. You know what I mean? This whole shit with the Farrakhan shit, and I feel like this is how it first was said. Like, yo, bro, you kind of need to like just apologize, man. You
That's
know what I
it.
mean?
He was like,
that's all
I'm
you
not
need to do.
apologizing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, he said he sent out a thing. Remember, he sent out. I sent out a little. I sent out a little sort of an apology, like a thing that I made a mistake. I said you didn't say sorry,
that
bro.
That ain't a real like.
It was bullshit.
Yeah.
It was like a company when a company's racially discriminating against you.
It's the
management.
It's the apology, not apology.
But first of all, he made Nick Cannon apologize for what he said, and Nick did it because, well, Nick had a lot to lose. I'm glad Nick did it because he hires a lot of African Americans. He goes, he's not, as soon as a black dude says something about, his folks, all of a sudden he turns into, fuck you, black dude, don't talk shit about me, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, he needs to apologize. All of a sudden this superiority thing comes in. Nick did, and then you can't do that for us. And whether you like Farrakhan or not, whether you like Al Sharpton or whatever, those are people that represent us. They're not perfect, we get it. And there's nobody perfect on your side.
Farrakhan is still revered
Big time.
in the black community.
Big time.
Yes.
And I don't give a fuck what your personal feelings are. You're not going to disrespect the man amongst black people.
It was freaking.
So it got to a point where we tried to give him the easy way.
Yes, we did.
And he didn't want that.
And he was like, well, yo, fuck that. He still said negative shit about Jewish people. Basically, I'm not fucking with him. And so then it was like, so then I came at him with the gangster shit. I ain't gonna lie.
As you should.
I'm like, yo, bro, if you don't fucking apologize, bro, really now I said something to the effect of, now it's past the point of even asking anymore.
Yeah, right.
I said, bro, you need to apologize.
Period.
If you don't apologize, we not fucking with you no more.
And he still stood on 10 toes.
He said, well, I'm not going to be
bullied.
I'm not going to be bullied into.
Yeah. Oh, he did that. Their black aggression.
Terrorists.
Yeah, and then he said, well, I want to sit down with the minister. And everybody was like, who the fuck are you to want to sit down? We don't even get to sit down with him. So that happened, and then he stood on 10 toes, and then Lord Jamar on the phone said, you know what? Fuck it then. We gonna go our way, you go your way. And I went with him. I said, yeah, this because I thought it was the right thing to do if he's not gonna apologize. And listen. And then from there, he says, oh, yeah, I think he's going to go back on Vlad. I said, I never said that. I'm never going black. He said, he's talking to him now. That's just, what grade are we in? What grade are you in? Bro, I was like, I'm not going back on there because if I did, it would ruin everything I stood for. People would be like, what the fuck? Why the fuck would I do that?
Sagan, peace. He said, remember when y'all got into it with Vlad? Godfrey really didn't want to leave Vlad's platform from the get-go. He didn't. I gangstered him into it. This is how I know he's easily manipulated, because I did it to him. I did that shit to him. I painted us in the corner. He didn't want to leave Vlad like that. He was on the phone. He's talking about, well, maybe we just take a break. I said, take a break? Taking a break? We ain't taking no fucking breaks. Yo, bro, you gonna have to do this or we not fucking with you at all. Paint in the corner. And he knew that he couldn't really go against that. He couldn't go against that because that would have made him look super foul. That would have made him look super foul.
Yeah, Lord Jamar is going back to Vlad. He's going back to Vlad, man. I'm like, wow. And he was saying that I was going to go and sell out and go back to Vlad, and he just went back to Vlad. Man, that's corny ass shit. I'm not going back. You out your mind? I don't have no beef with him. I don't have a beef with Vlad at all. I just not going back to the show because, what he did was wrong. Culturally, it was just off. It wasn't cool. So I'm not going back. No, I don't. I don't have a beef with Vlad at all. But I'm not going back though. Yo, your man, Lord Jamar went back to Vlad. He went back to Vlad, man. And this Negro is going back to him. He went back yesterday, I think. I mean, just too many sellouts out here. It's just too much. That's just, we got to be able to stand on principle sometimes.
Would you be willing to have a conversation with Farrakhan?
I was always willing to have a conversation with Farrakhan. And that's, if I want to address some of the misconceptions, when I first, misquoted him. What was the question again? I lost my train of thought a little bit.
I asked you, would you be willing to sit down with
Right,
Farrakhan?
sorry. Thank you. So when this whole thing happened, the first phone call I got was from the guy I dealt with in the NOI. And the first thing he said was, hey, let's address this misquote. Do an interview with Nuri Muhammad about it. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense because I wasn't talking about Nuri. I was talking about Farrakhan. So I'm not going to have a conversation with someone who I wasn't talking about the person I was talking about. But if he's open to it, I'm willing to have a conversation with Farrakhan about it on or off camera. That got twisted into Vlad will only apologize if he gets an interview with Farrakhan, which honestly was never said. It was never said like that. And at the end of the day, you can't take a person's whole story and say, well, I don't like this one phrase he used on this one day and throw away all the other accomplishments. That's just not fair. You look at what he's actually done for his own community, you can't deny it. And let me be clear, I would like to apologize to Minister Farrakhan for misquoting him back in 2020.
Yo, your man, Lord Jamar went back to Vlad. He went back to Vlad, man.
When the Farrakhan incident came into play, basically the sentiment is, see, we always told you about your man. Like, here he goes, doing that shit that we've been accusing him of the whole time. And I'm like, damn, Vlad, don't do that. Don't prove these motherfuckers right. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Because now it's not just the Farrakhan stuff. You got two dudes that you're saying is your friends and are business assets as well. And we're telling you, bro, apologize. Apologize. And you're like, So now I know that probably, you know what I mean? Made you feel like, oh, well, I'm not going to be bullied now into apology, And then you still was just like, I'm willing to sacrifice y'all, my association with y'all, your friendship, all of that for whatever you felt like you were standing on at the time.
I think that's a fair description of what happened.
What's going on, man? What's on your mind, man?
Hey, man. Hey, what's going on with your boy?
Which one? Who?
Lord Jamar.
No, look, that's my guy. What's wrong with
Man, dude, he been tripping lately.
What did he do? Lord Jamar's solid. That's my
Man, I thought he was solid too, but he ran back to DJ Vlad, like, after talking all that mess, like he wasn't gonna go over there. He ran back to him, did an interview with him. He got exposed for his little flat earth beliefs and stuff like that. He been tripping ever since.
No, man, he went over there because I went to Vlad. I did Vlad's show. I was over there to promote my movie.
Yeah.
Yes, him and Vlad talked it out like players, and they came to an understanding, and they probably went over there and just talked out their differences, which is cool. That's what you do. You talk out your differences.
Right. Right.
You can do that. That's all right. Now, but yeah,
Right.
but you got a beef with somebody, and again, I know they fell out with Vlad kind of making disparaging remarks about Farrakhan. Vlad apologized publicly, and again, when I did Vlad, I talked to him. Me and Vlad, we're airing out a lot of. I don't like that he cut that part out because I talked to Vlad Farrakhan thing too. He didn't air that, but I guess he apologized on his own time. But him and Lord Jamar, they go back, so I guess they worked it out, and that's cool. That's all right to do that.
Cool.
So it is what it is.
Adams, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, ever since this whole, I was hearing about this whole Ados, from the minute I heard about it, it was like a division.
Yeah.
Amongst black people.
Yeah.
It was a division. It seemed like some sort of, well, you're not American enough. Like, what's your lineage? Like,
Adams,
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, ever since this whole, I was hearing about this whole Ados, from the minute I heard about it, it was like a division.
Yeah.
Amongst black people.
Yeah.
It was a division. It seemed like some sort of, well, you're not American enough. Like, what's your lineage?
And on the list of tangibles, I would assume that that's where this Ados comes in, because I'm thinking that certain people would hope that the tangibles, that the part of the tangibles would be reparations for the Ados movement. Yes?
Yes.
Is that what I'm to believe? Now,
not just that, but definitely number one on the list.
right.
I definitely have something when you're ready, Jay. I like to have them.
Yes, before you add on, I just would like to say, now there's some that feel that this movement is quite divisive and just another way to divide black people.
My thing is, there was a lot of suffering done by all of us at different times in America. I don't give a fuck if you got to America 5 years ago, from whatever fucking country. If you black, you're gonna go through you're gonna suffer some bullshit.
Let's just say we all get $2 million, all black people that can prove it, that, they have lineage here in these North America, and they were slaves here, and they get $2 million. What the fuck do you think these motherfuckers are gonna do with that money? Fuck. They just give the money right back. They just would give the money right back. Just like you get your taxes and all that tax time coming, half of these motherfuckers giving that shit right back to the within 6 hours sometimes in the motherfucking black community. Needs to be running around with, like, the shit would be fucking crazy. Like, and all the guns and, and Mercedes and blinged out, it would just be, fuck. They just give the money right back. They just would give the money right back. Just like you get your taxes and all that tax time coming, half of these motherfuckers giving that shit right back to the within 6 hours sometimes in the motherfucking black community. Needs to be running around with, like, the shit would be fucking crazy. Like, and all. But anyway, who here in America are direct descendants of the slavery, and I'm assuming that that happened here on this land in America, and they're probably not even thinking about South America or anything like that. But let's just say they're isolating it to just here in just America. Well, now immediately they've isolated the South Americans.
First of all,
Period.
there's a lot of divide and conquer with this. There's a lot of bullshit that goes into this talk of reparations. You know,
Lord
as far
Jamar,
as
this is
who gets it, and
So when are we gonna get ready? We're just not gonna be ready for it, and what are we gonna do? We're gonna blame white people for systemically
Well, I'm
oppressing
saying
us
we-
for generations.
Yes.
We're not even gonna try it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to. I'm not saying
I
that.
mean, I know,
Right.
but you just made the point that
African Americans won't get a piece of that. Whereas when it was vice versa back in 2016, the Jamaicans were saying, hey, African Americans, we want a piece of that too, because we were all on the same boat and just got dropped off in different places. Back in 2016.
But do you see how the Jamaicans
is
turned? They
asking for
turned on them.
reparations. They're saying, African Americans, you don't get a piece of this. That's the talking.
But
But
you
now-
see what I'm saying? How disrespectful they've been to them. Exactly.
right. But then this is also, to
That's
me,
foul.
I see this as a divide and conquer thing. So now I'm supposed to get
Yes.
oh, word? That's what the Jamaicans are saying? Well, then fuck that. You know, if they don't, they trying to keep it, then we're going to keep our shit to ourselves. See, that's the type of attitude that they want to inspire by having these fucking conversations right now, so that we'll be fucking mad at the Jamaicans.
We have to press the government for reparations. We need land and territory that we can call our own. So reparation gotta be on the agenda. We need land, Mr. President. You got all this Federal Reserve land, what you reserving it for? Yeah, we need cash. Hell yeah, print some more. Force him to tell you, nigga, I ain't giving you nothing. If you put it on the table strong enough, he'll come out of his bag.
Adams, you know, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, ever since I was hearing about this whole Adams, from the minute I heard about it, it was like a division.
Yeah.
Amongst black.
Yeah.
Yes. Before you add on, I just would like to say, now there's some that feel that this movement
is quite divisive and just another way to divide black.
And it just feels like that type of thought, and I understand where you're coming from with it, but it feels like that type of thought
helps to divide instead of bring us more together.
No. We all not gonna be together. This ain't no damn unity party with punks. This ain't no unity party with people who don't want the true liberation of black people. This ain't no unity party with, this ain't that kind of party. So you take your raggedy ass on home. If we are like-minded on reparations and on justice for our people, we are brothers indeed. But a black face ain't gonna make you no brother today. Go ahead. We tired of these black-faced, white-hearted niggas. Say that. Masquerading as though you're receive you. Say that. Masquerading as though you're receive you.
Are you Ados?
Here's the thing. On my father's side, no. Okay? We trace back to Guyana. Okay?
So you're Caribbean then?
South American, yes.
Oh, Guyana's not
It's
Caribbean?
a Caribbean, it's in South America, but it's considered Caribbean in a way.
Got it.
It's one of
Yeah, because whenever I go
South
to
American
the
countries.
West Indian Day Parade, I think pretty sure I see Guyana
Absolutely.
Guyana
You see
flags
Guyana
flying
flags
around.
in
Yeah,
South America.
right.
Just like you might see Honduras or something like but that's all in South America. So anyway, now my mother is adopted, so I don't know her. I still got to do some research on you know what I mean. I actually discovered one side of her father. Now I got to trace where his family's from, but I did the trace on my father's side. So on that side, no, I'm not Ados. It's possible I'm on my mother's side. I am, but see, Again, that's some bullshit.
But anyway,
What's this whole ADOS movement? And how is this? How is that not something that's kind of divisive amongst people in this country? Like how do we decide who's who?
Foundational Black Americans, because over here in the North American continent, us foundational Black Americans, we're the founders of the United States. There was no United States until foundational Black Americans built it. So we are acknowledging our own designation. So that's not divisive, because other groups do this.
And I just feel like we need to come together as Black people, you know what I mean, as much as possible. And it just feels like that type of thought, and I understand where you're coming from with it, but it feels like that type of thought helps to divide instead of bring us more together.
Okay, this is the problem, Lord Jamar. That division is caused by non-FBA. Foundational Black Americans, we have been the only people fighting for everybody. Both of my parents, on both sides of the family, we can trace everything back to plantations in Alabama and North Carolina. So my family, 100% foundational Black Americans. Nobody in my family immigrated.
How many people can do that, though? Do you think?
We can. We can do that. Most of us
How
can.
many that are claiming to be can really do that? Keep it real.
You can trace your family lineage at least back to 1870. You can trace your family back to the 1870 census. If you know your mama and you know your daddy, their name has been documented somewhere. You know where to trace them.
Right.
So
a lot of them had just first names, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, I physically, this is not no easy shit to do these traces. Like, I physically have been through this shit. Like, I've seen it. Like, I went down that rabbit hole for a second. And when you get to all of that slavery type of shit, like, the records are not what you think.
There's outliers to it, but generally, it's pretty easy to trace your lineage back to slavery, to a plantation. Or it's easy to trace your lineage back to at least the 1870 census. The average person who can trace their lineage back to 1870, 9 times out of 10, you came from a slave plantation, because they'll list you as a farm worker or domestic or something like that. So that means you came most likely from a slave plantation. And that's a little bit different from somebody who immigrated over, because you wouldn't be eligible for a reparations claim. We can't open up that door, and this is for several reasons. If we start letting African and Caribbean brothers start getting reparations based on the Jim Crow treatment, then what's going to happen? The damn white Hispanics are going to start saying, okay, well, damn it, I was mistreated too. And then it's going to undermine the reparations claim. We respect CARICOM. Over in the Caribbean, they have a reparations movement. You can trace your family lineage at least back to 1870. You can trace your family back to the 1870 census. If you know your mama and you know your daddy, their name has been documented somewhere. You know where to trace them.
Right. So a lot of them had just first names, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, I physically, this is not no easy shit to do these traces. Like, I physically have been through this shit. Like, I've seen it. Like, I went down that rabbit hole for a second. And when you get to all of that slavery type of shit, like, the records are not what you.
Both of my parents, on both sides of the family, we can trace everything back to plantations in Alabama and North Carolina. So my family, 100% foundational Black Americans. Nobody in my family immigrated.
How many people can do that, though?
We can. We can do that. Most of us can.
How many that are claiming to be can really do that? Keep it real.
You can trace your family lineage at least back to 1870. You can trace your family back to the 1870 census. If you know your mama and you know your daddy, their name has been documented somewhere. You know where to trace them.
Right.
So
a lot of them had just first names, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, I physically, this is not no easy shit to do these traces. Like, I physically have been through this shit. Like, I've seen it. Like, I went down that rabbit hole for a second. And when you get to all of that slave,
there are outliers
shit to it.
There's outliers to it, but generally, it's pretty easy to trace your lineage back to slavery, to a plantation. Or it's easy to trace your lineage back to at least the 1870 census. The average person who can trace their lineage back to 1870, 9 times out of 10, you came from a slave plantation, because they'll list you as a farm worker or domestic or something like that. So that means you came most likely from a slave plantation. And that's a little bit different from somebody who immigrated over, because you wouldn't be eligible for a reparations claim.
It's my great-grandfather on my father's side that wasn't born here.
It's my great-grandfather on my father's side that wasn't born here.
How does one know that they're foundational American? I, a few years back, did a like an ancestral so I had just did on my father's side, right? But in doing all of this, and I'm going to tell you, it traced back to Guyana, right?
Okay, right.
So I had just did on my father's side, right? And I'm going to tell you, it traced back to Guyana.
We can trace back.
My family suffered from redlining and all that type of shit, because I know how you feel about, like, Jamaicans that come here right now, this generation, and they're able to get loans. My family didn't go through that. My family didn't get all that when they came here. We lived as regular black people. So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. That would not, if they came over and they immigrated, because your family came from immigrants. They immigrated over here, and you can
Ellis Island.
Because your family came from immigrants. They immigrated over here, and you can Ellis Island.
Right.
I know the boat.
That's very different, because you can't get a reparations claim like that.
Because you can't get a reparations claim like that.
And it's very important to not mix it up.
But now keep in mind, this is just my father's side.
I understand that.
We all have two sides now. My mother's side, I ain't traced that yet.
Y'all would know who the southern side of her family was. So if y'all don't know, that means she's from the Caribbean. Because I can understand that you don't know your dad. That's one thing. And your mom didn't tell you where your grandmother was from? Your mom didn't say shit? She had to come from somewhere, either immigrated from another country or came from the South. If she's black, right? It's just find out where your parents are from and where your grandparents are from. Your grandmother, if you knew your grandmother has a birth certificate, brother. Look at the birth certificate and see where she was born. And then see what her mother and father's name was. It's on the birth certificate. And then see where they were born. You trace it back like that. And if you can go all the way back to the 1870 census, that make you a foundational black American. All you got to do is just trace the parents back. Okay, some of these folks, you don't know where your mama's really from. Okay, like my mom's from New York. We kind of lost, and then, okay. But folks, okay. I don't know how y'all don't be knowing where your mama from. And you don't know your mama's side of the family. At least I can understand the dad's side might be a little sketchy, but you don't know your mama's side of the family? See, that raises red flags. That raises a lot of red flags when folks don't be knowing what their mama's side of the family is. Okay. That's weird.
And I feel like they want us to spend our energy on this conversation when we really need to be focusing our energy on more practical things.
Well, I think the argument comes from, because there's Tariq Nasheed. I fuck with a lot of his shit,
but he's not even from our world.
I know, but as far as just black history and foundational black American, and I'm not foundational black American because my parents Nigerian. So this is what I'm thinking, that Tariq Nasheed is just trying to claim, we need to claim our stake as far as just, I get the whole thing. It's not like I don't get it. I've read enough where I understand black people, I like that they are being hardcore about it. But then when you're shitting on the other black folks, that's when I have a problem. But then when you're shitting on the other black folks, that's when I have a problem.